Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, 4 Nerds by Nerds, hanging out with.
Nerdarchy is Ted.
And we dove back into our series on recovery dice, and this time we're talking about the Ranger.
Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
So we're going to delve back into our recovery dice series, and this time we're going to talk about the Ranger. And just so you know, we're just talking about the Ranger in the 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons Player's Handbook. We're not going into the revised Ranger or anything like that. Xanathar's Guide is not out as of this time right now, and we don't know for sure it's going to be in there.
Right. So we're looking at the base class and the archetypes, the Hunter and the Beastmaster.
We are.
So as with everything, we try to give options for the base class and then things for specific archetypes. And in order to do that, we really need to know what's the critical things to the actual class.
Yeah, what does that class do? What are they about? What are they good at?
So right off the bat, you get favorite enemy and natural explorer. So your favorite enemy is that thing that you have some keen understanding and are good at tracking or hunting. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to hate them. It just means you know how. Or how to hunt them.
You know how to hate them? I know how to hate them so very much.
And the natural explorer is you get a base terrain that you're skilled at traversing through.
Yeah, the Ranger is really good at the exploration phase of the game. That's what they excel at. You know, they're knowledgeable in those things. So I like those, and we decided we're going to go with 2 things for our base class because, one, you know, they're not going to impact the game greatly, and it's just cool and it's flavorful.
And it really is just an option. You know,
Yeah.
It's a way to expend a resource that might not be being used in your game.
Right. So, and we'll circle back to what we came up with for that. So let's go into Beast Companion. What basically,
Right.
what do you get?
So, well, if you're going to be the Beastmaster, you get a Beast Companion. It's pretty simple. So, you know, we should do something that stems towards that.
I agree.
And then with Hunter, and with Hunter, you're going to go into, you know, you're a stalker, you're out to kill, and the Hunter archetype is designed to do a little bit more damage, I think, than the Beastmaster. And I think, as per written in the book, a lot of people choose the Hunter, and they tend to go towards Colossus Slayer.
Why would they do such a thing?
So, under Hunter's Prey, you've got Colossus Slayer, Giant Killer, and Horde Breaker. It's the first option that you get. So, we decided we're going to look at something on this. So, let's break down what each of those are. Colossus Slayer is your tenacity can wear down the most potential foes. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, the creature takes an extra 1d8 damage. If it's below its maximum hit points, you can deal this extra damage only once per turn. So, I think a lot of people get this one wrong. They don't read that last sentence, and it's just, oh, every attack always does an extra d8. Especially once you get to higher levels.
Maybe they're confusing it with Hunter's Mark, which is on every attack.
Right. Giant Killer, when a larger creature within 5 feet of you hits or misses with an attack, you can use your reaction to attack that creature immediately after its attack, provided that you can see the creature. If it's within 5 feet of you, unless it's like, oh, I'm over top of the wall and I'm just doing this and you don't look up, you probably can see it. And then Horde Breaker, once on each of your turns when you make a weapon attack, you can make another attack with the same weapon against a different creature that is within 5 feet of its original target and within range of your weapons.
We had to look these up. For the life of me, I could not remember what the other Ranger features were for the Hunter. I'm like, it's Colossus Slayer, right? It's it. No, there's these other ones.
But a D8 once per round versus the potential of entirely other attacks. I think Colossus Slayer might actually be the weaker of the choices. You just have to look at, okay, well, you need to have 2 creatures fighting you, or you need to have a large creature fighting you.
Yeah, because literally, the way it's worded, for Horde Breaker, you could be using a bow. They don't have to be next to you, right? They just have to be next to each other and within range of your weapon.
Once on each of your turns, when you make a weapon attack, you can make another attack with the same weapon against a different creature that is within 5 feet of the original target and within range of your weapon. So
Right. They could be 600 feet away. You could be nailing them with that. But, in mass combat, that's an awesome one. Doing a second attack is actually going to do more damage, especially if you're using Hunter's Mark. But this video isn't about that. We're talking about recovery die and like interesting ways to use them.
All right. So do we want to start it back at the beginning, or do we want to work backwards?
We can start back at the beginning. Sure,
Okay.
Why not?
All right. So when we look at Ranger, we have those two core abilities: favorite enemy and natural explorer. And we talked about wanting to use each of those things. So favorite enemy is the first thing that they get, and you get advantage on wisdom survival checks to track the creature, and on intelligence checks to know something about said creature. You also know their language, but that's not equivocal to this.
Right. And also this ability improves, right, over the course of the Ranger's career.
Well, you get more options.
Yeah, more options. I mean, it improve. The individuals don't improve. You just have more options that improve.
Right. So at 6th and 14th level, you get another favorite enemy as well as the appropriate language. So for this one, we're going to call this new option Know Your Enemy. And you already have advantage on your checks for wisdom survival and intelligence checks. So we're going to go one step beyond, and you're going to get expertise. So you got expertise and advantage. Clear case for you really need to know something about this guy. Use this for the next minute. Bam, you got your stuff together.
If we were writing this up as a feature, as an ability, we probably wouldn't call it expertise. We'd probably look at some of the other wordings that have been used before that basically give the expertise ability, but they don't really call it expertise.
And you would double your proficiency modifier for all checks involving wisdom survival and intelligence related to your favorite enemy for an hour or
whatever it is, even if you're not actually even if you're not proficient in said skill. Right. We'd basically probably just look at the dwarf for stone cutting and copy that for word almost. To make that adjustment and put it in 5e terms.
All right, so then we move on to Natural Explorer, and here we're going to pull out our cell phones and we're going to put out a call to the wild. So
you don't have any signal here, son of a.
So here, you take a minute and you commune with an area that is not your favored terrain, and you know the lay of the land. So you have essentially another favored terrain for whatever whatever we would say
duration, 8 hours, whatever. Yeah.
So this would allow you to be able to find food and water. It would allow you to know your way through, potentially avoid certain dangers. I think this is probably the least used aspect of the Ranger in my opinion. So giving some extra options in regards to it, I think would be pretty awesome.
I think the Rangers in my game have used it a couple times. But they're because it's part of the exploration phase. It's very kind of like hand wavy and stuff, and we're Rangers in this area, so I kind of just give them the hand wave on a lot of stuff.
It doesn't get the highlight that other things tend to.
It's not as flashy as stabbing things or blowing them up. It is true.
All right, so if we move, so that's two things: call the wild, extra terrain, know your enemy. Double proficiency modifiers on your favorite enemy for survival and intelligence. Yay, great. Now, if we move into our archetypes for Beastmaster, we talked about wanting to be the Beast. Beast already gets your proficiency modifiers on attacks and damage, which I think is pretty handy because they're a lot of the animal companions already do a decent amount of damage, so it's pretty nice. So how can we help them out? So,
other options for the Ranger, the Beast Companion gets a lot of flack and is kind of like the weakest. So we're going with the idea of making them even more effective in combat. So I think we're calling this Sick'em.
All right. So here we know not everybody does this, so this would probably not be as beneficial to every party, but most Rangers use Hunter's Mark. So if you're using it your animal companion is going to wind up being able to get that extra damage as well.
Yeah. So every time you attack Hunter's Mark, every time it attacks Hunter's Mark, it's going to bring that D6 into play a little bit more. And this is this is also probably another one of my complaints about the Beast Companion Ranger is the fact that the way the spell is worded, it excludes the Beast Companion, and that's a big part of that build, which only makes people want to play the Hunter even more because every time I attack, I do an extra D6, in addition to all this other stuff, and I don't have to deal with Fluffy, who's going to get dropped every other attack. So this kind of helps alleviate that.
Right. So pretty simple, cut and dry. Hunter's Mark affects your Beast Companion as well as you.
Perfect.
Hunter, we have Predator's Focus, and we spent some time going over the different options that you have for Hunter's Prey, and there's sometimes that things just aren't going to fit into into the power that you've selected. If you're fighting a bunch of goblins and kobolds that die in one hit, doing an extra D8 damage if they're already injured is going to be pointless. But had I selected...
They're actually never already injured because once they get hit, they just die.
Right. So in that case, Horde Breaker would be really useful. But man, I didn't select that one. So you expend your resource, your recovery dice, and voila, you get to switch out for the minute.
Yeah, so basically a combat will last, or, if you're fighting a bunch of giants, maybe you would rather have the one where you get to hit them back. So either way, or still Horde Breaker might be useful too if you're fighting a bunch of giants. But if you're fighting one giant...
If you're fighting a bunch of giant, good luck, sir.
You can handle it. You're a ranger and an adventurer.
So that's what we got for Ranger. 4 new options, 4 pretty interesting and cool abilities.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to maybe at some point maybe collect all these together and put them somewhere. But the question is, guys, what do you think? Should we do that? Not yay, nay. Would you use this in your game? We got a place for that. It's called the comments. Let us know. While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
You can check us out over on nerdarchy.com.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.